Hi, welcome to Film at 11. My name is Joshua Zeiber, editor of the Video File Movie and Home Theater blog. This is my 11-year-old son Thomas.
Yes, it is I.
This is the podcast where I introduce my children to famous movies they've never seen before. Normally in this podcast, the kids don't know what movie they're going to watch until I sit down and reveal it to them and force them to watch it. This week we're doing things a little bit differently. I have given Thomas an opportunity to pick a movie that he was interested in. This may have been a mistake. For some reason that I'm not entirely certain why, Thomas has picked Pacific Rim, Guillermo del Toro's Monsters vs. Robots Rock'em Sock'em action spectacle. Thomas, what made you pick this?
I saw a video.
You saw a video of some random YouTuber who recommended it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically,
What is it about this that appealed to you?
a big robot.
Big robots. Okay, fair enough. Good news, everybody. We've canceled the apocalypse. That's right, it's over. At least this one, this monster apocalypse. There may be other apocalypses to follow, but this one's canceled. Thomas, we just watched Pacific Rim, and this was your choice for some reason.
Yeah.
So how'd we do? How'd you like it?
Yeah, I liked it.
You liked it, okay. Now, I'm a little interested to hear your opinion on this because when we watched Jurassic Park, you came out of it kind of traumatized. And this was another movie with a lot of big, huge monsters tearing up the place and eating people. You weren't so bothered by this one?
No.
Did you find it scary at all?
It was loud.
It was loud. Yes, it was loud. Anything else?
No, not really.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on why that might be?
Because monsters and robots and fighting.
Okay, because monsters and robots and fighting. Because that seems more unrealistic to you, maybe?
Wait, what?
Well, that's what I'm asking. What about monsters and robots and fighting? You just like those things?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious. I mean, you tell me if you felt that because when I was watching this, I felt that a lot of the big fights and stuff they looked a little cartoony. Like the CGI was very obvious, and I don't think they really necessarily looked realistic. It looked like a live action cartoon, and as opposed to Jurassic Park, which I think seemed a little more realistic at times, and there may have felt more of a plausible threat that dinosaurs were actually eating people, and as opposed to this one where
Yeah.
no, that wasn't your opinion.
Well, I agree with the dinosaurs. That was a more realistic threat.
Okay. I mean, not that dinosaurs coming back to life is a thing that's really going to happen or anything, but all right. Well, anyway, I was just curious how you felt about that because one of the things that if I had a criticism about this movie is that there's a whole lot of destruction in this movie, and yet it doesn't really seem like too many people get hurt.
Yeah.
They destroy whole cities. The robots, the good guy robots, are like picking up cruise ships in order to smash them into the monsters that they're fighting, and nobody's really concerned about, oh, did somebody get hurt in that? There's a couple of instances where people get eaten by monsters or it seems like they might die. But even then, it's more often than not, it turns out that they're okay in the end.
Yeah.
Okay. So for that reason, I think that this is, perhaps more of a cartoonish monster movie.
Yeah.
Okay. So on that front, this movie, Pacific Rim, is sort of a combination of two different genres. One of which is there's a lot of anime in this, especially the giant robot type of mecha anime. And then there's the kaiju genre, which is the giant monster genre, things like Godzilla, Mothra, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this movie combined those two things and had giant robots fighting giant monsters. Did you like the action scenes in this?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have a favorite?
I like the one where where the two monsters
Mm-hmm.
that and they sent the other two guys and then they just died.
Okay, so it was the 2-on-1 fight.
Yeah.
Okay, that was your favorite one. All right. Yeah. Were you able to tell the monsters apart really?
Yeah, somewhat.
Somewhat. Yeah. That was kind of another confusing thing in the movie where I didn't think they were very well defined or distinguished what the different monsters were.
Yeah.
I know that they mentioned one early on in the beginning was called Knife Head, and it had a big sharp point on its head, and I was like, okay, I get that one. But the other ones, they didn't really make clear what the difference between the monsters was.
Well, I think they said that they were clones of each other at one point.
Right, but they were clones of the same DNA, but they weren't exact copies of each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I do think that the movie could have worked a little bit more on making the monsters clearer which one was which, and the human characters too. I thought that's another weakness in the movie, that most of the human characters were not particularly interesting. Do you
Yeah.
agree with that, or
I agree with that.
did you have a favorite human character?
No.
No, not even the one you told me about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Who was that?
It was the doctor guy.
The scientist guy,
Yeah.
right? For our audience, that's the scientist, the goofy comic relief scientist in this movie, played by Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Yeah, he was a kind of silly character, but endearing, so likable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the lead guy, his name was Rally, kind of boring.
Yeah. It
You know?
wasn't the best.
You know, the girl, Maury, I think was her name, something like that,
Yeah.
was more interesting.
Yeah.
But and the leader of the operation, with
Marshall.
the marshal, whose name had a very weird name of Stacker Pentecost, played by Idris Elba. He was pretty interesting,
Yeah.
but a lot of the pilot characters, other than the girl, were just kind of all samey. They didn't really
Yeah,
distinguish
they
each
didn't
other
do
all too
anything.
well. And so when some of them started getting killed off, you didn't feel that bad for them. Maybe that was intentional. I don't know. This was a PG-13 movie. It was not an R-rated movie, so I guess they didn't want to make it too traumatizing for kids, because they did want kids to be able to see it. Did you have any trouble following the plot?
Not really.
No. You got what they were trying to do at the end, where they
Yeah.
were trying to blow up the portal to
Yeah.
the other dimension? Okay. Yeah, I thought it was funny that when they were most of the fighting in this movie was like they were doing like wrestling moves with monsters. You know, they didn't really. They had a couple of guns and some knives, but mostly what they were doing was just the robots were just wrestling with the monsters.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. Okay. Is there anything in this movie that you didn't like?
I didn't like how the characters were most of the pilots were kind of bland.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I didn't like how some of the monsters were kind of looked all the same.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I know you had mentioned to me before we started recording here that there's one pilot who was kind of a jerk. You didn't like that guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does this get you interested in seeing more giant monster movies? Because there's a whole genre of those.
Maybe.
Or giant robot movies. There's a whole genre of those. and anime and cartoons and stuff.
Maybe.
There's a whole lot of those. All right. So that might be the real benefit of this movie, is that it's sort of a gateway in order to get kids interested in those other things. Because, yeah, there's a lot of them. And some of them are really fun. Some of the giant monster movies are really fun.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, if that is all you've got, I think we'll wrap it up there. So if you enjoyed this content, please like, share, subscribe, do all those good things. And we'll see you next time. All right, you about ready?
Nah. Boing. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.